Welcome to Ask Gwen, everyone. Today I have fellow podcaster Miss Heike with me, and Heike is going to explain more about what she does, and you're going to hear a little bit about my story in this podcast as well. And Heike is really doing a service for a niche that I wish I had Heike in my life when my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer. Let's just say he wasn't the healthiest person on the planet. And so when he was finally diagnosed, he didn't want hospital food, he didn't want healthy food, he practically wanted junk food at the end of his life. And so I sat with him for 9 days here at my house, and it wasn't pretty. So I'm going to let Heike take it away and explain more about what she does and explain a little bit about her podcast too.
Thank you so much, Wen. And thanks for having me on the show today. I'm really excited to share my story with your listener. Well, I am a fitness and nutrition and mindset coach, and I'm really passionate about helping women over 50 because I'm also over 50 and a little bit more than 50 to live a healthy and fit lifestyle, not just about exercise and nutrition, but specifically through mindset strategies. And that is what my podcast, Pursue Your Spark, is also about. And instead of dimming your light as we get older, it's about igniting your spark, exploring the world, perhaps changing your perception and changing how you perhaps exercise, eat, and whatever else is associated with your life. And that may include travel maybe at some point. So that's what my
Oh,
brand is
yeah.
all about.
And so, for anonymity purposes, what has been the well, I'm going to ask there's going to be two parts to this question, I go. Um, for anonymity purposes, what has been your favorite podcast episode you have done on your podcast? And then what has been a client success story that you can share with my podcast audience?
Ooh, that's a tough question, Win, because they're also good stories. They're also impactful about what my guests on the show share. But I think if we're, oh, this is really tough. So I would say my story, the short story that I shared with my friend Liz Strom, and is a double transplant survivor, and her story is just really incredible when you listen to how she survived all the transplants and how she's now living, and she talks about it openly, how she's partially blind. She has trouble moving at times, and how this whole system has affected her health system overall, and how she is out there on Instagram crushing it and being the most uplifting and fun person that I can think of. So this is for Liz Strong. So this is my one of my top stories that I was able to share. Then a success story for one of my clients, and they're all, of course, a little bit different depending on what the person's goal is. And it's not always about weight loss, but it's about feeling healthy and feeling better. And that to a person came to me and said, you know, how can you help me get in shape? Which is usually the initial question. And then as you dig deeper and you get to know the person, it was really not about getting in shape, but it was about gaining self confidence. And that she was in a crappy job that she did didn't like. She was in a relationship that was not what she thought it's going to be, but she thought she should stay in this relationship. But through exercise, and we did Pilates and breathing and just becoming more mindful of her body, she then had the guts. She said, you know what? I did this exercise that I thought I never could do. I can break off this relationship. I can move away to where I'm happy. And just through exercise and talking to me and actually having a confidant or a companion, yeah, it's more like a companion, a confidant than a companion, is to somebody you can trust that can help you go through all this. But more importantly, it was the part of the exercise that really gave her the guts and the courage to overcome her fears and move on and do the things that she wanted to do. And you know what? She got fitter and she even lost a couple of pounds, which was really not the ultimate goal, but having that freedom and that courage and that strength makes me so happy when I can't tell you how it just makes my heart sing.
Well, it should. And you guys, since we're recording this episode in the midst of a pandemic, you guys should go listen to Heike interview Casey about emotional eating. Hello, I learned a lot that I myself have to be careful of emotional eating because I um I can't cook due to my cerebral palsy. I want to cook? Yes, but I can't due to my neurological condition. And so I have to be careful as to what I put in my body. And it's interesting um, because I gave up soda when I was in my 20s, and I gave up soda because I was convinced that soda was bad for you by my stepmom. And then I took the plunge. So I gave up soda in my 20s. Soda was easy. I'm like, okay, give up soda. And then I took the plunge to give up coffee. And then I took the bigger plunge to give up wine. I haven't had a piece of meat since December of 2019. And that's the the only reason why I had a piece of meat is because um I was out at an event, and this is before the COVID stuff. And ever since then I have been on a plant-based microbiota cooking diet, well, cooking, eliminates cooking, but microbiotic plant-based diet, and I feel wonderful because my stepmom does not eat meat, and my stepmom only eats fish and chicken. And so for me, and I also gave up refined sugars too, which helps. Although I like the occasional chocolate and I like the occasional peanut butter cup. But as Heike said, was in her podcast with Kathy, um, you don't have to feel guilty if you stick the occasional peanut butter cup into your mouth. And I'm like, heck yes, because I that's my guilty pleasure, chocolate and peanut butter cups are my guilty pleasure. But other than that, I am on a plant-based diet and I feel wonderful.
Fantastic. I love it. And you know what? As we call it, the guilty pleasures whim, I look at it this way: you eat it, you own it. That's
Yeah.
all there is to it.
Yeah. No. Exactly. Exactly. And so I'm like, okay. And people know my guilty pleasure is um, peanut butter cups. And then
Mm.
I went off the. I unfortunately lost a friend of mine who worked with me who was a all she did was microbiotic cooking. And if you Google microbiotic cooking, you'll see it's a plant-based diet. And so all unfortunately that aide had to leave. But I went um off microbiotics for about a month, and I'm like, okay, my body didn't know what to do. And unfortunately, with my next aide who came in to try and replace the aide that left, um, yeah, let's just say that didn't work out in many reasons. But for one, she didn't understand that she didn't understand that my mother, my stepmom, was on a microbiota diet as well as I was. And and I'll never forget it, she took me to McDonald's of all places. Ugh.
Oh,
And I'm like, this is not, this is not what my body's wanting. And yeah, 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 yeah. And it's
but
like,
so
okay,
sick.
we're going to have to do a little bit of education. And I almost sat it down. I and fortunately for me, she only worked with me for months. But I was going to sit her down and say, look, this is what my body's used to. This is what my mom's body's used to. We're both used to microbiotic cooking. Please help us out, because at the end of the day, um, you only have one body. And at the end of the day, my mother, after her full time job, doesn't want to come home and cook. And so, what my aides do to help my stepmom is that they cook for me and my stepmom. And basically, we're both on a plant based diet. And, but throwing McDonald's into a body that's used to a plant based diet, yeah, I'm like, nope, nope. And so, the it's so funny when you mentioned on with the episode on your podcast with Casey, the ginormous meals that Americans are so used to eating. I'm like, what happened to the small portion sizes you ate into your full?
Yeah. Wayne, let me ask you, what do you miss most right now during COVID?
What do I miss the most? Right
Right
now
now during,
during COVID, seeing people, seeing people, and food happens to be my weakness. Food, I secretly, I love sitting in someone's kitchen, and it doesn't have to be my own. And I love talking to them as they cook. I mean, it's doesn't it doesn't I am a talker, as you will find out. But I love sitting with people as we share a meal. I love sitting with people as they cook the meal. I love talking to them. I love finding people's people's stories and why they decided to do what they do. And yeah, so that is something people people, to
I
answer your
agree.
question, Micah, is
I agree.
something I miss in COVID. I mean, the last time I got a hug from my stepmom was March 9th. She hugged me because I was getting off a plane and hadn't seen me for a week. But since then, she hasn't hugged me, that and but when I go out now, it's like, hello, mask up, and I'm in a mandatory mask state of Colorado. And so people and gathering around food and just dealing with it. I mean, ay, 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 people. People is what I really miss, seeing people and going to the movies and um, being around people. I am the social butterfly.
What would you say? What does your best friend say about you?
Oh, what would my best friend say about me? She
Yeah.
would, well, when I got this question, you guys, I had to think about it. She would probably say that I am the most outgoing person that will not stop until you make me stop. And then when I get really mad at you, I don't talk to you. So that's a really bad sign. That's a really bad sign. If I'm having a bad day, I don't talk to people. And so she would say I'm the miniature version of the ever ready bunny, because ever ready battery bunny, because I am I tend to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and people like, when you know so much, how? How with your disability, how do you know so much? And why is your memory so good? And why do you like to research things? And so, yes, that's what my best friend would say about me.
That's so cute. It goes together with dinners out, and
Oh,
now that you don't drink wine anymore, it's more wine for them.
well, well, she doesn't drink either because she has CP. But I, I and just to let you know, I am not opposed to people drinking wine. I just um come from a family history of drinking wine, yeah, a little too much. So that's why one of the reasons why I cut it cold turkey.
Good
And
idea.
so, Heike, what is your favorite book?
Oh, so many good favorite books. You don't know that, but I started listening to books on Audible about a year ago. Because when I read a book, I fall asleep. Honestly, it could be the best book, but my eyes just fall closed. So I started reading on digital, and I couldn't do that either. So then my daughter-in-law is listening to books, and I'm thinking that's weird. I'm like, okay, give it a try, and I am hooked. So one of my recent favorites is called "If You Find Me" by Emily Murdoch, and
If
it's a book
you find me.
if You Find Me, yeah, by Emily Murdoch. And it's a story about a girl, young woman, young girl that has been stolen by her mother with her sister away from her dad. And they are living hidden in the woods in the most minimal, uh, almost animalistic ways, being hidden away, making believe that the dad is the bad person, where the mother seems to have some mental problems. And at some point, the mother never shows up. And so they're living in this camper that has no heat, no running water in the middle of the woods somewhere. And so this girl then takes her little sister, who she's been caring for, and starts walking. And they were found, and that's how the story evolves. And I'm not going to tell anybody because I want people to listen or read this book because it is not uh, um, like what's the word? I'm looking for. It's not violent at all, but it goes deep, and it's a story about all our odds of somebody being abused and isolated, taking care of her sister no matter what. She always made sure her sister is okay, and how she pulled back out of these emotions that had enveloped her all these years that she had to live in the woods, and the things that she made believe that she is, and the things she can't have. It is a fantastic read, if you ask me.
And then if your BFF had to write a book about you, what would the title be?
That's an easy one. The fiercely independent woman.
Oh, oh goodness, go after my own on. The fiercely independent woman. Yeah.
The fiercely,
And
I have a fiercely independent streak, so that was a simple
oh,
question.
oh yes, I do too. I do too. I have a fiercely independent streak, and ugh, it's come back to bite me in the butt a couple of times, and it's like I don't care. I don't care. You do as I say. I if I don't like it, I push back. So
Very
fiercely
good.
independent woman. There we go. But if you had to move and only take 5 things with you, what would they be?
5 things. All right. Definitely my running shoes, a water bottle because you always need to have water. And I drink a lot of water, so a water bottle is a must. So I'm always hydrated. I would take my camera. I fall in love with my camera that I'm using to do videos, and I'm learning it. So that would be a great thing to do. Then, I mean, let's assume I can't take my husband.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I can't take him.
yeah, you can.
I can take a person. Okay, I can take a person, and you know, if I can take a person, I would take my kids as another person. So the people
Okay.
that I love would come with me. My running shoes to stay fit, to hydrate, and then we can have a camera that captures all the adventures that we all would go on.
Yeah, exactly. And so, Heike, what is your morning routine?
So I'm a very simple morning routiner. When I'm like, I pretty much do the same thing every day. I wake up, I make a big cup of fennel tea, my favorite cup, and I drink my fennel tea as I scroll through social media, see what's going on, if I have emails, and I drink my tea, and I just sit there and relax. And then, and 99% of the time, I get my busky out the door and I go exercise. I love exercising in the morning when there's not a lot of people out and it's still cool, hopefully for most days. And so I really ideally would like my work day to start at 10 in the morning because to me exercise is my meditation. It's my way of organizing my thoughts. It's my way of getting rid of things that bug me, stress. And so if I can go for a run or a bike ride or a Pilates workout in the morning, that's a really good start for my day.
So, ideally, you would like to work out first and then deal with all the stuff around you. And
Yep.
I am presuming that you did all your stuff online before COVID, or were you actually seeing people in person?
I have a private small fitness studio here in Maryland where I have seen a lot of my clients in person before COVID. And so it's just a one-on-one studio. I see people like starting around 40 till 94 that work with me for all kinds of different reasons, for Pilates, or they want nutrition, or they want to get stronger, they have more balance, they want to breathe better, whatever it is, male and female. And so I saw quite a few people in person. Some have moved to online training, but many that I've seen in person are still spooked by the whole situation. And my other online programs, the Pursue Your Spark uh, brand for women over 50, is the one that has always been completely online. So it's somewhat of a change when.
Yes. So, so you've lost clients during COVID.
Yeah, I mean, people are worried about spending extra money. And I think I taught my clients well that they can do many of the exercises on their own. And, I have a YouTube channel where I share exercise videos and mindset strategies as well. So I always point them in this direction. And I know they will come back if possible because some of my clients have been with me for 15 years. And I've been in the fitness industry for about 30. So I have people that stick with me for a long time.
Well, I actually transferred positions to being a full-time content creator because I knew I found uh, the reason why I gave up my job is because I felt a shift in my own body saying things are going to change in a big way and you have got to get prepared. Well, I didn't know that things were going to change in a big way. I um I thought it was only going to be me. I didn't realize it was going to affect the whole world, but I felt a change in my own body, and my aide and my stepmom asked me, "Do you want to go skiing?" And I said, "Absolutely not." And they thought, well, number one, they didn't think I was crazy. Although my stepmom sa- said, "Are you sure?" Because you love skiing, and that's true. I do love
Mhm.
skiing, but I do love snowboarding, and that's what I've done since the age of 16. And so I um I said, "Well, let me take a ski season off." And my stepmom and my aide said, okay, it may just be because Wynn is grieving the loss of her father. I lost my mother in 2010, and that has been 10 years now. And then 10 years August. And then I lost my father May of 2019, May 19th, 2019, to organ failure after being diagnosed with lung cancer. And so by the time it got to last ski season, they asked me, "Do you want to go or do you want to take a season off?" And when I said I want to take a season off, they thought, okay, well, they thought it was something having to do with my dad. And I'm like, no, it's something having to do with the Mother Nature shifting. Thank you very much. And I didn't tell anyone this, I didn't make a long song and dance. So I decided to go to a work trip, and I flew home from that work trip March 9th. The I discovered in the middle of Chicago O'Hare International Airport that I came home. I was coming home to not so good news, and I was going to lose my job. And so I just dive bomb right into full-fledged content creation, and that's what I've done since. And I'm also working on my journalism degree, and so yeah,
Right. When did you start your podcast, when?
I started. Well, my podcast is 10 years old too. I started that in October. Well, the book got published, the original book got published in 2010. I started the podcast a month after the book was published
Ah, okay. So why did you start the podcast after the book?
because I wrote this book. I hit the publishing button and I'm like, oh, great. How am I supposed to get the word out on my story now?
Oh,
And
great. You're like, oh, great. Here I am. Got this great book. Now what?
yeah, so that's the short version of why I started the podcast. And I have been doing interviews ever since I can remember, and it's like people are now coming to me to um, not only share my story with them, but be interviewed by me. I mean, 9 times out of 10 on the occasion now, I I get no, I don't want to do it, but basically no, I don't want to do it turns into no, I don't want to do it because I'm too busy, not because I don't um, want to be interviewed on a podcast.
Isn't it fun how many really interesting people you meet on a podcast?
Oh, yes.
I love that aspect of it, that you have guests from all walk of life. And of course, I listened to some of your episodes and prepared to our episode today. And it's just fascinating the stories that people have and how their lives evolved. And that includes your life. I just love it. And every time I listen or I interview somebody, I feel I've learned something.
Well, you thought you learned a lot about me. Put me on the other side of that mic when I'm being interviewed. You're going to learn a lot more about me, and I'm slowly but surely um, switching my life. Yet again, my life is pivoting in an interesting way. Let's just put it that way, and I'll give you guys a major update in the next couple weeks here because my life is going to get better. It's not going to get worse. It's actually going to get better. But yeah.
Very nice. I love to hear
So,
that.
Heike, where can people find you, and where can people get a hold of you, and of course, where can people listen to your podcast?
Oh, this is so easy. And when I have to say, you're one of the few people who can actually pronounce my name correctly.
I
Heike.
I have a unique name, so I get my name mispronounced all the time, and it's like, really, really. So now I have to spell my name when I meet people, and I actually spoke your name out on text. Funny enough, to get it
Yep.
correct, I'm like, I'm going to get this correct because
So,
yeah, I'm going to
so
get this
cute. So
correct.
I really appreciate it because my name is Heike, last name Yates. So it's Heike Yates, but for the American speaker, it often comes out as Heike. And you still find me everywhere. Whatever you put in your Google or your search engine, if you go for Heike Yates, you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook at Heike Yates, Pursue Your Spark, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest. You can find me everywhere under Heike Yates, Heikeyatess. My podcast, Pursue Your Spark, just the same name as the brand is for my women over 50, is literally wherever you get your podcast listening, you can find me. And if you don't have a channel to listen to a podcast, then you can always go to my website under the same name, and there's a link to listen as well.
Okay, yes. Yes, because when I typed in Heike's name, it popped up as so Pussy Smoke by Heike Yates. And if you guys type in Heike Yates to any of your podcasting players, including the Amazon smart speakers and including the Google smart speakers, um, her podcast should pop up. And hint, hint, I might appear on her podcast as well. So, yeah, I just, you just may see me appear on her podcast as well, talking about my journey being on microbiotic plant-based diet, and so that's gonna be fun. And
Don't
so,
tell
hi,
them. Don't tell them yet, Win. Keep it a secret. Don't tell them what we're going to talk about.
yeah. Well, I just
They
let
have
the
to
cat out of
wait.
I did let the cat out of the bag. I did let the cat out of the bag because a lot of people don't. Well, they know I'm on a plant-based diet, but a lot of people don't know why I decided that, and I decided that. Well, I'll let Heike ask me that question, and then you guys will have to turn into Pursue Your Spark to find out because it's been a wild journey me deciding on a plant-based diet.
There you go.
And so, Heike, do you have any more questions for me?
No, I think you answered all the things except for the one thing I didn't ask you. And you almost said it. So I was like, well, should I ask her that question? But I do it anyway because it could be something different than snowboarding and enjoying meals that your family or friends cooking. But what else do you do for fun? What do you
Uh,
love doing? What is it that you love doing when?
and people know this too. I I love doing art and I love listening to music and I love going to concerts and I um, just love traveling. I miss traveling so much. As I said, I can sit in someone else's kitchen and talk to them as they pay a meal and 9 times out of 10, it's like I've gotten the compliment. I've gotten the line of "I've never been thanks for a meal in my life." I said, "Thank you for preparing this meal," and the person looks at me and she goes, "When I have never been thanked for preparing a meal in my life." And I'm like, okay, that you're going to have to um, get used to me the next time you see me because the next time we share a meal together, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing because I think that well, that comes from the way I was raised, number one, and the fact that I can't cook. So every single meal that's presented to me, I 9 times out of 10 say thank you um, or have a conversation with that person as they're cooking.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I miss traveling too. That's definitely one of the things that I really miss. But
Oh, yes,
hopefully,
you guys. Oh,
but
yes.
hopefully at some point get back to all of this.
And I have decided in April of 2022, which is when I graduate with my journalism degree, I'm hopping on a plane. Mask or vaccine. I am hopping on that plane out to San Diego to walk with my class. Hello. I can't be doing this virtual journalism degree graduation. No, there's no way. There's no way. And no, I can't be. Actually, it might be out in Arizona. I don't know, but um, there's no way I will be doing a virtual graduation. I'm putting that out there right now. People who work in the vaccine land, if you're listening, you forgot till April of 2022 to make me happy to come up with a vaccine. Otherwise, I
Yes,
will travel with masks.
I think that's a good goal.
Yeah, that I've decided that straight from the get go when I was in the middle of Chicago O'Hare International Airport. I said, well, the next time I'm traveling is after my graduation, and um, that is my ultimate goal. And so, yeah, and so, you guys, I would like to thank you guys for supporting this podcast and go listen to Heike's podcast and tell us what you think about it. And then we'll see you guys later. I will, and Heike will. And Heike, you're going to get more downloads from me and more downloads from the people that listen to me and now listen to you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Gwen. It was so nice to get to know you.
You are so welcome. And I will catch you guys later. Bye, you guys.
Bye.